All right, guys. Lesson 7.4, I'm sorry, 7.9 is using sine, cosine, tangent to find angle measures, to find angles, we'll say. Okay, using sine, cosine, and tangent to find angles. So far, we've been finding sides. There is a way to use the sides to find the angles. I think we can just do two examples and you'll be able to see it pretty easily. All right, so now instead of given, say, a side and an angle, maybe you're given two sides. This side's 4 centimeters, this side's 10 centimeters. And the question is, let's call it ABC. So the measure of angle A is what we're looking for, this angle down here. All right, the setup will be like what we've done before. Sine, cosine, tan of the angle equals something over something. So same exact setup. We can just put an X in here, I guess. Might make it a little more clear. We're trying to find that one, right? Let's put an X there. So from that angle that we're looking for, we actually know the opposite and we know the adjacent. So if you look back at your SOHCAHTOA, opposite adjacent is a tan. The angle goes here, remember, but that's actually X now because we don't know it. And then it's opposite in the top and the adjacent in the bottom. So 4 over 10. Okay, so we could say tan of X equals, you can't put parentheses around this X, it's kind of up to you, equals 4/10. So how do we solve that? I would say we're going to change this to a decimal. 4 divided by 10, 0.4. And then we're going to do this thing called tan inverse. I mean, there's actually two ways you could do it. You could look down the tan column in your table. I don't have a table right here, and find the one that's closest to 0.4. But the way to do it with a calculator is called tan inverse. So we basically say do a tan inverse on each side because we want to cancel out this tan. I'll show that. So if I had tan x equals 0.4, I'm going to say do a tan inverse, tan inverse. Okay, it's tan with a little -1 on it. That actually cancels out this. So x is going to be the tan inverse tan, you could say, of 0.4. All right, on my calculator, pretty much on any calculator, if it has a tan button, the tan inverse or inverse tan will be right above it here. So I just gotta make sure you're on degree mode on these calculators. So it should say degree. If you got a littler calculator, it'll say degree at the top or DEG. Make sure you're in degree mode. So tan inverse, I have second tan of 0.4, and that's 21 to the nearest tenth of a degree, 21.8 degrees. I'll show you how to use the table on the next one in case you don't. I mean, you can find a calculator. Maybe I'll look up a calculator in Google just to make sure we know how to use that one too. Let's do one more. Okay, let's say ABC. Let's say this is 20. This is, I don't know, 10. No, not 10. That's too easy. 18. And let's say, what's the measure of angle B? Okay, what's the measure of this angle up here? So I'll put X up there. Okay, so let's look at a second from X. We're trying to set it up the same. This over this. Okay, so from X, this is hypotenuse, this is adjacent. So on SOHCAHTOA, opposite and, I'm sorry, hypotenuse and adjacent, right? Hypotenuse and adjacent, we're talking cosine, right? Adjacent over hypotenuse. So cosine of X equals adjacent 18 over 20. All right, let me just rewrite that clear. Cosine of X, you could put the degrees on there if you wanted, equals 18/20. I'm going to change that to a decimal already. 18/20 I know is what, 90%, 0.9. Okay, let me bring up a calculator on Google. Let's see if, okay, let me share here. I found a calculator here on Google I can use. I think I'm still recording here. So if you just search your regular search calculator on Google, this is the one that pops up there. So we're trying to do, I don't know if you can see it up here, but I'm going to do a cosine inverse on each side to cancel out a cosine. Okay, that cancels out a cosine. So I've got x equals, or x degrees equals, cosine inverse of 0.9. Okay, if you can see that up there. So I'll just show you how to type that in right here. Cosine inverse of 0.9. So cosine inverse on here, you got to hit this inverse. Actually, make sure you're on degree mode here first. Click on, so degree is darken. Inverse, cosine. They call it the arc cosine. That's another name for it. Of 0.9. Okay, hit an inverse and then the cosine. Okay, it's called an arc cosine is another name for it. Another name for inverse cosine. Okay, 25.8 degrees. Okay, I probably really didn't need this degree here. That was kind of weird, but the answer is 25.8 degrees to the nearest tenth. Okay, so that's a ways to do it. You could use your table also, but I think using a calculator is the way to go actually. But if you use your table, you just look in the cosine table and in cosine column and look for something really close to 0.9. And you could get to 26 degrees. You wouldn't get to this exact of an answer. Let me give you one to do on your own. Add this to your notes. Number 3. Two, let's say ABC. Let's say a really small angle, 10 degrees. Okay. Let's say 5 centimeters and 22 centimeters. Oh, that doesn't make sense. I'm sorry. We don't know this angle. Okay, sorry. Let's say 5 centimeters there, 22 centimeters there, 5 centimeters on this short leg, 22 on this hypotenuse. The question is, though, what is the measure of angle A? Boom. And also find the measure of angle B. Okay, you can actually find both pretty easily, right? All right, so find measure of angle A and then use that to find measure of angle B. All right, that's your only really thing you need to get done today is show me that you can do that. And we will review it again tomorrow. Have a good day, guys.